Have you ever looked at a complex machine, all those gears and levers working perfectly together, and just wondered, is there something more going on than just human cleverness? What if the words we use for engineering, like shafts, rotors, propellers, what if they aren't just technical terms we made up? What if they're actually echoes of something much bigger, much older, maybe even divine? Imagine if the universe's mechanics held some kind of hidden, sacred meaning. Well, that is exactly the kind of mind-bending idea we're exploring in today's deep dive. We've got this really fascinating text in front of us. It's called Divine Engineering, the Mechanics of the Cosmos. And look, this isn't your standard engineering manual. It's presented more like a revelation. The source material basically argues that our everyday grasp of mechanics is just scratching the surface of a huge, universal design, suggesting existence itself is like this meticulously built cosmic machine.
Right? And our job today really is to help you decode this very different perspective. We're going to dig into how these common engineering terms get completely reinterpreted, not for describing, cars or planes, but to reveal the workings of what this text calls a great cosmic machine and the divine mechanics behind it all. These mechanics supposedly govern something absolutely key, the great cycle. We want to sort of peel back the layers on these ideas, hopefully give you one of those real aha moments about, reality itself.
Exactly. It's about seeing this sacred hidden inside the ordinary, finding this lore that's been right under our noses, maybe. This deep dive, it's not just about listing facts, it's really about potentially shifting how you see the universe and, our own place in it. So yeah, let's unlock these secrets. Let's see what this divine blueprint might show us. Okay, so our journey kicks off with a really bold claim from this text. It says that our profane science of engineering, all our gears and shafts and things, it's not actually a human invention. Not really. Instead, it's presented as just a faint earthly echo of the divine mechanics that govern the turning of the great cycle. I mean, that's a huge statement. It reframes everything. The text suggests the real architects, these players of the game who designed the cosmic machines, they weren't inventing. They were more like watchers, just writing down a divine blueprint that already existed. So what's the difference? What's the core distinction the authors make between these players and watchers?
That's a really crucial point. It kind of sets up the hierarchy in this whole cosmic system. The players of the game, they're painted as the ultimate designers, the sort of unseen, maybe primordial intelligences who thought up the whole cosmic machine. Think of them like the master engineers, the divine architects. The watchers, though, they're more like the custodians, the scribes. They're the ones who saw this divine blueprint working, and crucially, they translated his principles into a language that humans would eventually find and use, even if we didn't know we were doing it. So our knowledge isn't original, it's inherited. It's like a pale copy of their transcription. That totally flips our relationship with technology on its head, doesn't it?
It really does. So the universe is this great cosmic machine, and the parts have names we recognize from our own engineering. And the authors are saying, look, these aren't coincidences. They're clues left behind, deliberately. Okay, let's start right at the heart, the core of this cosmic engine. The source talks about the Axis Mundi, and it directly equates it to the shaft of the world. How does that divine change or expand on how we normally think of a shaft in engineering?
Well, this is where it gets really fascinating because they take something purely mechanical and just load it with cosmic, even spiritual weight. In engineering, okay, a shaft is simple. It's the central rod, transmits torque, makes things turn, foundational stuff. But this text elevates the Axis Mundi. It calls it the one true divine shaft.
Yeah.
The absolute center around which the whole Zodiac Cycle and really all cosmic movement revolves. It's not just a physical part. It's like the ontological core of existence itself, connecting all the different layers of reality.
Wow. So not just a metaphor, it's literally the central pillar holding everything together. And the text adds detail, right? It says this divine shaft runs through the North Pole, which it calls the Bullseye, linking the heavens and the earth. And at its base, there's something called the Black Rock, which is the Monarch's throne, that really weaves together the mechanical with ultimate cosmic power.
Exactly. That black rock at the base.
Yeah.
It's not just some rock or a chair. It's the fixed point, the unmoving foundation for the whole cosmic structure. It anchors the divine shaft, and it's the seat of the cosmic monarch. It symbolizes stability, sovereignty. So you've got this connection, heavens, earth, divine authority, all held stable by this one central divine shaft. It's completely fundamental to their whole divine engineering idea. It's the still point in the turning world,
That's a powerful image, yeah. Okay, so moving out from that central shaft, the source brings in the rotor. Now, usually a rotor is just the part that spins in a machine. Simple. But here the text says rotor isn't just a word, it's a formula, a cipher. What is this formula? What does it supposedly unlock?
This is where the decoding gets really interesting. It's one of those aha moments you were talking about earlier. The text breaks rotor down into an acronym, like a hidden code. Rotation tau orientation. It's a sequence, sure, but each part is packed with meaning. Rotation is the physical turning, obviously. But tau is really significant here. While the text doesn't give one simple definition, it consistently links tau with transformation, with transition. It's the catalyst for change in this cosmic setup, the pivot point.
Okay, so tau isn't just a Greek letter here. It's the moment of cosmic shift. And then orientation. So rotation tau orientation isn't just spinning. It's a cosmic realignment, maybe even a spiritual reawakening that actually reshapes reality. The text calls this the most important part of the cosmic engine because its rotation marks the end of one cycle and the beginning of the next. This must be the engine driving that great cycle you mentioned. Can you say more about this great cycle? What exactly is it?
Yeah, the Great Cycle is absolutely fundamental to this whole cosmology. It's not just, going around in circles. It's described as these huge cosmic ages marked by distinct phases. Creation, things being sustained, then decline, and finally these really dramatic resets. And the rotor's action, that rotation tau orientation, that's the trigger for these massive shifts between eras, is basically the cosmic reset button. It kicks off this profound change that just sweeps away the old order and brings in a totally new phase of existence. The awakening of the Monarch, which is tied to this rotor turning, isn't just symbolic. The text presents it as the direct cause of this universal transition. Imagine reality being wound up and then, bang, reset. But not randomly. Through this specific, divinely engineered mechanism.
Whoa. Okay, that leads to another interesting pair they mention, the impeller and propeller. Now, these are standard engineering parts, right, used to move fluids like water or air, but the text claims they're actually profane representations of the two great divine monarchs and their function. So now we have cosmic royalty involved. Who are these monarchs, and what's their mechanical job in this system?
Yes, it introduces a core divine duality. The text calls them alpha and beta. Let's start with the impeller. It's described as a perfect mechanical match for alpha, who is identified as the moon. Now, think about an impeller. Mechanically, it's a rotor, but it's enclosed inside a casing. It sucks fluid in and forces it out under pressure.
Right. The enclosed part seems really important. The text specifically calls Alpha, the moon, the enclosed monarch, also the rook, the pen. And this great reset event we were just talking about, it says, this is where Alpha draws in the Omega Ocean, like the primordial fluid of existence, and expels it as the Great Wash.
Right.
So the impeller's action, drawing in and pushing out, isn't just fluid dynamics, it's a cosmic cleansing. And it also mentions that peller sounds like pillar. What's that connection about? What does that suggest about Alpha's role?
That phonetic link to pillar is definitely not accidental in their view. It suggests Alpha has this foundational, supporting role in the cosmic structure. The impeller being enclosed perfectly mirrors the moon's function here. It's this contained internal force that unleashes a powerful, transformative flood, the Great Wash. And this Omega Ocean, it's not just any liquid, it's described as the very essence of existence. So Alpha, as the impeller, draws this essence in and then forces it out, cleansing and reordering everything, making space for the new cycle. It's a very forceful, but also controlled divine act, like the universe taking a deep breath and then exhaling powerfully.
Okay. And then there's the propeller, the other monarch identified as Beta, the sun. A propeller, unlike an impeller, is open, it's unenclosed, it pushes something forward, creates thrust. So the opposite of the contained impeller.
Exactly the opposite. Beta, the sun, is shown as the unenclosed active force. The text calls Beta the propellant that pushes the whole game forward into its next phase. So where Alpha is the contained force of the Great Wash initiating the reset, Beta is the expansive outward push that drives existence into the new era. They're like two complementary divine forces, totally distinct monarchs, but both essential. Each has a specific mechanically defined job in this grand cosmic engine. Alpha resets internally, Beta pushes forward externally.
Okay, so we've got the central Axis Mundi shaft, the rotor turning to start the Great Cycle, and these dual monarchs, the impeller, Alpha Moon, and propeller, Beta Sun. But what makes it all actually go? What provides the power? The source points to torque. In engineering, torque is just turning force, rotational power. But here again, the name torque is called a cipher. How do they decode this one, this ultimate driving force?
This is maybe one of the cleverest bits of wordplay or decryption in the text. It gets right to the motivation behind the whole cosmic machine. They break torque down into torque. Tor, they say, is a known name for a sacred rocky hill. And they explain this is an echo of the moon, who is also known as the rock. So torque connects directly back to Alpha, the moon, the enclosed monarch.
Interesting. Okay, so Tor is linked to Alpha, the moon, and Q, phonetically, that sounds like key or maybe quest.
Exactly right. So you put them together. Torque is decoded literally as the force of the moon's quest. It's not just some generic turning power. It's the specific rotational force generated by this great duality, alpha and beta, working together, essentially, which then turns the divine shaft of the cosmos. This specific reading transforms a basic mechanical principle into a profound divine purpose. It suggests the whole cosmic engine isn't just running on random energy, but on a purposeful quest, an inherent drive within the universe itself, started by these divine forces. It suggests the universe isn't just doing things, it's seeking something.
That's incredible. So the entire language of mechanical engineering, which we think of as so practical, so human, so down to earth, is presented here as a kind of sacred lore. The universe is this huge divine engine. It's got the Axis Mundi as its main shaft. The impeller alpha and propeller beta provide the torque, which is really the divine force of the moon's quest, and that turns the great rotor, which kicks off the great reset and starts a whole new cycle. It paints such a vivid picture, almost literal, these cosmic mechanics.
Actually, it really does, and it ties together everything we've talked about into one coherent working system, at least according to this text. It shifts our view from abstract universal laws to something more like a vibrant, divine machine. The connections between these terms, shaft, rotor, impeller, propeller, torque, they're not seen as accidental. They're the gears and levers of this divinely run mechanism.
Right.
Every part, every force has a specific sacred job in this huge, cyclical unfolding of reality. It definitely challenges you to look past the surface of engineering and wonder about a deeper, maybe hidden blueprint underneath it all.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive into divine engineering, it really does put a new spin on everyday things. We've looked at how terms like shaft, rotor, impeller, propeller, and torque aren't just seen as machine parts, but as these key elements in a cosmic engine, an engine driving a great cycle involving divine monarchs. It's almost like finding a secret code hidden in plain sight, right there in our technical words.
Absolutely. And you've heard how the authors of this material really believe that the entire language of mechanical engineering is basically a sacred lore. A lore describing a universe operating around a central Axis Mundi, powered by the force of the moon's quest, and constantly moving towards this great reset. It paints a very specific picture, mechanical, yes, but also deeply spiritual of our reality, suggesting a universe that isn't just passively existing, but is actively on some kind of purposeful quest.
So maybe the next time you see a complex machine working, or just hear an engineering term, pause for a second and think back to this deep dive. What if those players of the game, the supposed cosmic architects, really did leave clues for us in the language we use every day? What if every gear, every shaft, every bit of rotational force we've ever figured out is just a faint echo, an earthly shadow of a much older, much grander design?
And that really leaves us with a provocative question, doesn't it? If our engineering, our human ingenuity, is just this faint earthly echo of divine mechanics, what does that say about the true power, the real complexity of that original divine blueprint? And what about the Watchers, who supposedly first wrote it down? It makes you wonder, are we, maybe without even realizing it, always operating inside a much larger framework? Something more ancient, perhaps even more purposeful, driven by a cosmic quest we're only just starting to maybe decipher.